The African National Congress made some bold submissions to Parliament on the regulation of political party funding. The party wants private financing of political parties to be regulated and calls for more transparency concerning the funding of political parties. ANC Treasurer General Dr. William Mkhize bemoaned the current over-reliance by political parties on private donations. Mkhize said the secrecy that clouds political party financing was fueling perceptions of democratic processes being subverted. He said transparency is necessary to increase public confidence in the democratic system and to allow parties to remain financially sustainable in an ethical and lawful manner. Let's take a look at some of the key proposals in the ANC submissions. Firstly, that political party finances must be open to public scrutiny. Secondly, that private financing of political parties must be regulated. Thirdly, that the call to enhance public funding for activities that promote and support democracy. And lastly, to discuss the desirability of donations from foreign interests or companies that do business with the state.
Mechanisms that could be used. The one could be that the funding from the fiscus is increased, but obviously that must be balanced against the needs of South Africans other than funding political parties. The other could be that we set up what I call a central kitty, where all donors could contribute because it's paying to ensure that democracy is not subverted in South Africa. So there are various mechanisms that could be used. And also, I have no problem if you are a private donor, but then you must be willing and prepared to declare as a political party who funded you. Because if it is for genuine reasons, I see no reason why you would not want to be associated with funding if it was for upright and for correct reasons. We are a nation that has been built on transparency and accountability. Then there should be full disclosure and accountability. At the end of the day, you've got to have it audited and it should be verified as being a true reflection of what you've received, whether it is from private funding or from public funding.
Here are some of the reasons put forward in support of transparency in political party funding. Private corporations and foreign supporters can exert undue influence on government decisions. Donors' undue influence silences citizens' voices and compromises democracy and accountability. Political parties' fundraising efforts can compromise the credibility of democratic electoral processes.
Obviously, political parties in South Africa do receive money from donors, and one doesn't want those donors to exercise an undue influence or undermine the will of the voters, or to be able to buy changes to policy, for example. But equally, donors have a right to privacy. They have certain rights as well. And the skill is going to be to try and balance those two imperatives in a way that works for everyone. If you look at other foreign jurisdictions, you can get situations where donations under a certain amount are allowed to be made, but over a certain amount have to be declared. The country is in fiscal crisis, and it ought not to be the duty of the South African taxpayers always to pick up the tab for political parties.
Those that fund political parties have an interest, they expect something in return, so it's been a serious problem in the past. I must also add, and this is not limited to any particular political party, and I think all of them are responsible for this, wherever political parties appear to be governing, they control the tenders, they control the income that comes in there, they control who they employ, and as a result thereof, you would find that some political parties are in a better position to perform than the others. When there are funding by private donors, it is being abused to the extent that it also directs policies in the country as well. And again, I want to emphasize that all political parties, in my view, are responsible for this, and they all are getting funding. There needs to be you need to level the playing field, and I would agree that if there's going to be any funding whatsoever from the private sector, then it should be pulled together and distributed to all the political parties.